That's how I got my wife.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Yeah, boy!
Mm-hmm. And that's his voice from now on. And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Bienvenidos.
Yeah.
Oh, bienvenidos.
So we have a big announcement. A lot of you already know about this, but we're going to have a thing called Sin Week in March.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, what can they expect from Sin Week?
It's exactly like The Purge, only for sinning.
Ooh, I'm there.
And we've negotiated with governments around the world, and for a whole week in March, sin will be legal.
That's right.
That sounds delightful.
It does,
doesn't it, man?
It does.
Imagine all the whoring, all the gambling. Okay, so Sin Week is kind of two layers. The first layer is we're going to do basically what I have been calling internally an E-convention, right? So we love Nashville. We did a thing a year ago at a convention that was here, Wizard World. We had some fans show up. But the idea that we've got fans all around the world, there's almost no way to get many of them collectively together in one physical place. But what if we did something digitally that was sort of like one of those conventions? So Sin Week will be this. Instead of 2 Sins videos that week, there will be 5. Five
That's fucking videos.
3 extra Sins videos.
That's crazy.
If you are a patron member. There will also be, we're going to do some stuff, broadcasts that will be like panels from a convention. If you went to a convention, you might see somebody get interviewed, Q&A panel. We're going to do a live podcast recording. So there'll be an audience there watching us do what we're doing right now. And we'll be broadcasting this shit live on YouTube for all of our patrons to participate.
Yeah.
And you can comment. We'll do some behind the scenes stuff. But there's also a new exclusive tier on the Patreon. Gold level status.
That's right.
You are platinum Patreon members. And we're going to open it up for an in-person 3-day part of Sin Week here in Nashville, Tennessee, where you'll get to be the audience for these things that we're going to broadcast live out over the web. You'll get to go do some recreation, like maybe Top Golf with us. We're going to have a nice meal catered where we're going to walk around and schmooze and throw things at each other like breadsticks. We're going to rent out a theater and go see a movie together, maybe something like Captain Marvel. But you can only participate in that if you are at this top tier that we've just introduced. What are we calling it?
It is
the perks of being a Sinflower?
The perks of being a Sinflower.
There you
yes.
go. All right. And if that fills up quickly or there's enough demand, we will expand that. Right now, I think it's open to 25 people.
Yes.
So think carefully about this because it's the highest tier. And what this tier gets you is access. So all the events will be free. You won't have to pay for the meal we're going to give you. You won't have to pay for the movie we're going to take you to. You won't have to pay to get into these panels we're going to do where you'll be the live audience. But your travel and your hotel, we're not covering. So don't join this tier if you can't make it here, because then you're just taking a spot from somebody who can't and literally throwing money away. We don't want you doing that.
No.
So if you can get to Nashville for Sin Week, do we have the dates?
Yeah. March 21st through the 23rd of 2019.
All right. So this spring, March 21st through the 23rd, if you can be here, right, find an Airbnb to stay in.
There's a lot of them.
There are. There's hotels out the wazoo. Prices are actually coming down on the hotels now because we finally have enough. And then we're going to have 3 days worth of events that we think will be really, really fun and special and intimate.
And little known fact, Nashville is the geographical center of the United States.
It really is. Actually,
suck it, Nebraska.
It's the geographical center of the universe.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's why it's booming so fast.
That's right. So, there's no excuse. You can't say it's too far because it's exactly as far as anywhere else in the world.
If you're looking for an excuse, if you and your loved ones are looking for a journey, where can we go? Where can we get away? Or thought about Nashville. It's a cool city. Now we're giving you an extra excuse.
That's right.
Look at these dates. But regardless of all that, we are super thankful for all the Patreon members we have so far. And any who will become Patreon members after hearing this. And all we're really trying to do is give you as much cool shit as we can, give you early access to it, and make this worth your while. So if we're not doing that, certainly let us know.
And you still, if you go to patreon.com/cinemasins, our Patreon page, There's still 3 tiers to sign up for where you get stuff early. You get to vote on the content that we get. You get access to bonus material for the SinCast. You get to do a live hangout at a certain tier and hang out with us in person. Well, not in person, but, via a screen.
Yeah.
And really cool stuff, really good perks. So we want a big Cinemasins family, so sign up if you can today. And we're super excited about Sin Week. Yeah, that's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Yay.
Anyway, today we're going to go back on our road trip.
Road trip.
On the road again. The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip. Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
It's a brief excursion into Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the list that we have in front of us, I've probably seen maybe half, and it's a small list.
Yeah.
I've seen maybe half of these, and including one big one probably that I haven't seen here. But we'll start off with, I never saw this, August Osage County.
Yeah. Did you ever see this? Okay, so this is the ensemble piece.
Julia
with
Roberts and Meryl Streep. And then there's Benedict Cumberbatch in there. There's, what's her, it's not Marge Helgenberger. It's fucking Mariel Heming. It's, Let's get through all the M's.
It's,
Marcia Gay Harden.
Yeah.
God damn it. Margot Martindale. Good girl.
Margot Martindale.
Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, Sam Shepard, Julianne Nicholson, Juliette Lewis, Dermot Mulroney, and Chris Cooper. Great cast.
Sounds like Oklahoma, actually.
And then some real famous writer wrote this, right?
It's a play by Tracy Letts.
Yeah, Tracy Letts. That's right. Who is also known as an actor,
right?
And is really good as an actor too.
This is you can very much tell that it's a play. It's not really. It has the pedigree of Love Actually in terms of like big names in the cast.
I wasn't even sure you knew that's what I was doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it plays like a play. It's set in pretty much a single house where everybody's coming together for the death of the patriarch of this family, and shit goes sideways. Meryl Streep is addicted to drugs. She's kind of the matriarch, and Julia Roberts is her kid, and her sisters all get into different kind of arguments and shenanigans. Benedict Cumberbatch is playing an American dude that's all like super shy and possibly like in love with his cousin. It's a whole thing, man.
I'm waiting for the movie where the family gathers together for the patriarch's funeral and nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, everybody's just like, man,
everyone's
what a shame.
like, it was good to see you. Pass the potatoes.
Everything was so boring.
It's this is a good movie, and I feel like it got kind of unfairly shat on when it came out.
I totally avoided this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looks like a
very
family
fun.
holiday drama. It may have actually come out over the
But
holidays.
you know what? I think there's a very real bias here, and I know that I like Meryl Streep, but anytime a movie like this comes out and she's in it and she gets nominated, I'm like, seriously, did she really do her best job in this movie? It seems like you're just giving her token nomination again because she's in a movie.
It might be, but she is to this level as like Denzel is in Fences, basically. Like, yes, it's meant to showcase her talent. She's got a meaty role. She's the drug addicted, like loud, boisterous, tell it like it is lady who will say anything. And
Is
she
this
doesn't
the
give a
one
shit.
where she's the embarrassing rock and roll mom?
No, it's
No, that's
Ford
Foster.
no, that's
Ricky and the Flash.
Ricky and the Flash, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you said what you were
somehow
saying.
didn't get nominated for that. Like, there's some lines we can't cross.
But she yes, it's a vehicle for her to act.
Yeah,
But she's terrific in this. Julia Roberts is terrific in this too. Understated. I like the roles in general that Julia Roberts has picked as she's gotten older. Because, she was the precocious, pretty woman type of thing for a while. And then starting maybe right around Erin Brockovich, you started seeing like she's got some range. She's got some chops. And here, man, even like button up right against Meryl, like she holds her own. And Chris Cooper's reliably awesome. Like, Yeah, it's a good movie.
I'll give it a chance. I think the reason why I wanted to give this a chance was I think I actually heard Tracy Letts talking about this, and of course I think whoever it was like Mark Maron or somebody asked him like, "What did you think about the movie adaptation of your work?" And he's like, "Oh, I loved it, and everything." And I think generally they're going to say that, but it did sound like he genuinely loved the adaptation. So
it would be like,
and I like Tracy Letts.
Yeah, it'd be like getting all these people to do your play on stage and just having better cameras, I guess, because it really is set up like a play. I'm a sucker for stuff like that, man. I'm a sucker for seeing a good movie adaptation of a play that you could see on stage when you see the movie.
Did you see that Anna Karenina that came out a few years ago?
No, with Keira Knightley?
Yeah, because I didn't see it either, but I read that they had some very inventive setup, and basically there's something about a stage play, the way they shot this, so that I think they shot it in a way that most movies aren't shot.
Interesting.
But I don't want to just say they shot it to look like a stage play. I think there's something where they made it like the movie is they're putting on a play of Anna Karenina or something like that. There's a wrinkle there. But anyway, I'm
down with it.
I should really just stop talking.
That's part of the reason why I love like stuff like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is that it's essentially a play. It's just expanded into a universe to where you could see it on stage, but you'd experience more ethereally.
That sitcom about like office workers in the DC universe, that should have worked. That should have worked hard. Like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern kind of like all these superhero events are going on over here, but here's what the interns are doing. It should have worked in that regard.
Yeah.
And it had Alan Tudyk too.
Yeah.
What was that called?
I forget.
Oh man, it was really. He was the boss, right?
Yeah, he was like Bruce Wayne's cousin.
It was Vanessa Hudgens was the the girl.
Yeah,
in there,
it
right?
was called
Legends of Tomorrow.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You just pissed off somebody so bad.
Is it Doom Patrol?
No. It was like the normal guys or.
Man,
tech support.
I love that show, or the first couple of episodes.
I didn't watch it, but it's kind of the idea of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, right? It's like a pun name, like clocked in or typed or
powerless.
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 Yes.
Anyway,
by the way,
yes,
you've seen the movie. I think it was either Marin. I think it was the Marin podcast with Tracy Letts on it, where he may have been saying it was Osage County.
I thought it was Osage.
Osage?
Yeah, I think it's Osage County.
And then I heard Tracy Letts say something different, so I think
whatever he says.
So I don't remember who said what and how they said it, but it may not be just Osage. It might be Osage or Osage or
So yeah, it's Oklahoma.
Yeah. On to Dirty Girl. I've never seen this.
Sounds up my alley.
Yeah, me too. 2010 comedy.
This is a pretty good movie.
Really?
This has got Juno Temple as the main.
I like Juno
girl.
Temple.
I like her.
And it's this coming of age story where she runs away with her gay best friend who's being abused by his father, who's played I think by Dwight Yoakam. Tim McGraw is in this too. Mary Steenburgen, William H. Macy, Mila Jovovich, like a lot of Brian Bumgardner from The Office is in this. It's interesting. It's basically a coming of age story with a lot of wit and humor and that kind of thing. Not like up to the level of like a Edge of 17 or anything like that, but really good.
Interesting.
Then we have Far and Away.
Oh,
I didn't even remember this was this set in Oklahoma?
This is the land rush.
Yeah,
so they come
run.
from Ireland, and Tom Cruise takes his shirt off and then goes
across. He's got a box first.
Yeah, well, he's boxing his way from Boston.
I'm gonna wreck
all the way
to
Oklahoma.
I haven't seen this movie since 1992.
Me neither.
And if you would ask me where it was set, I'd be like, it was Ireland, or it was like somewhere in like colonial America or something like that.
That's the centerpiece scene of the movie, right? Is them running through the dirt to grab their land.
Well, that's the end of the movie. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole climax to where it's Thomas Gibson. And that's why it's shut.
That's right. Thomas Gibson and Tom Cruise have the exact same birthday, by the way.
Do they really? They also look a whole lot alike, except
Yeah,
one's taller.
which is the weird thing in Eyes Wide Shut
Yeah.
when he shows up, because he looks a lot like him, and then the girl who's seducing Tom Cruise looks kind of like Nicole Kidman.
yeah.
And like I feel like there's got to be some sort of mirror image thing going on there, but
He's a rival guy from Ireland. And they are trying to get the land rush, the free land thing in Oklahoma. If you have a stake this is what, the early 1800s or something like that. If you have a stake of ownership, you could go out and plant that stake, and that's your land for however much there is, and it's free.
That's how I got my wife.
I don't think I was gonna make it.
For what it's worth, I think she would really find that funny.
dry land is not a myth. I've seen it. They say that in Far and Away, right?
Totally. You know,
With an Irish accent.
So it's Ron Howard, it's John Williams doing the music. It's perfectly beautiful. Tom Cruise got ripped over the coals for his accent, his Irish accent. I don't think it's that bad. He's a bare knuckle boxer and all that stuff. I mean, that stuff is believable. The stuff between he and Nicole Kidman is believable too. The only problem is like they just get fucked every step of the way. Like they're penniless, so they come over to America. Then they get a few dollars. Then they get robbed. Then they go to another place. Then they get robbed and beaten. Then they get robbed. It's like a series of like, and the movie seems like it's 3 hours long. I don't know how long it is, but it's pretty and it's well done, and it certainly hasn't enjoyed like, you know, the successes as other Tom Cruise movies. I think more people watch Days of Thunder than they do Far and Away.
Oh,
I
for
was going
sure.
to say it's probably not even his best movie he made with Nicole Kidman.
No,
He made
definitely not.
What, 3?
Yeah,
Those
I was
three?
watched Cold Trickle and
Days of Thunder and and
Far and
Away. Yeah, Eyes Wide Shut was the last one, and good God, I can only imagine. I can only because I'm sure that's been widely speculated. They divorced like the next year.
Yeah.
After that movie came out, like it makes you wonder how much of that movie affected them. Because Kubrick kept Nicole Kidman away from him during shooting, like when she was shooting that sex scene, the imagined sex scene.
Oh yeah,
and so Cruise knew that she was like naked with some other dude, like for shooting for hours on end of this sex scene and everything, and like he was trying to get this whole like negative vibe going on. And
that's
everything.
very Kubrickian.
Man,
Yeah.
a lot of our best classic movie directors were manipulative assholes.
Yeah. Yes, they were. Then we have Hang 'em High, a movie I should have seen and I haven't.
This is a very good Clint Eastwood movie. He didn't direct this one. This was Ted Post that directed this one. 1968. He survives. It's got a lot to do with that second Buster Scruggs segment with James Franco.
Interesting. That's
He
my
gets-
least favorite.
I can't wait to talk about this. But like he gets hung. There's a posse that either thinks he's a rustler or thinks he killed the rustler or something like that, and they hang him and they leave him for dead. And he somehow survives. A guy comes by and picks him up, very much like the Buster Scruggs thing. And he's got these rope burns on his neck the rest of the movie, and he becomes a marshal and he exacts revenge and all that stuff. This is one of those Clint Eastwood westerns that doesn't have any weirdness like the Outlaw Josie Wales. That's just like really well done, good story, well acted, good action, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Then there's the musical Oklahoma, which I have not seen either.
I've seen
Really?
that.
Oklahoma, Oklahoma, which was the inspiration for Uncle Fucker.
Oh, really?
Yes. That whole shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
Yeah.
It's Oklahoma.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You're a
The
boner-biting bastard.
Oklahoma, Oklahoma. So yes.
If I
Say Santa Claus.
yes, if I had heard that, I don't think I've ever heard that song. So if I had heard it, I would have known. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was just on its own. But
It's
it
just
was-
like how
which
they
is
ripped off
funny.
Les Mis
Well,
and
that's
all
what I'm
that.
saying. It's funny. All the other songs are ripping off on something else. So like, it would only be natural that one does.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this movie?
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's got good musical numbers, and I don't remember much about the story. It's all about,
Look, I'm immediately distrustful of any piece of entertainment that tries to make me like Oklahoma more.
Yeah, I know. Same way.
No, I would probably. I watched this in my youth back when Mom was showing me all the musicals. So Singing in the Rain and The Music Man and all of these. And so I saw it once. I mostly remember the songs, and I'm sure it's harmless. I'm sure it's fine.
It's Rodgers and Hammerstein, man. You really can't go wrong.
Probably a
with those
cowboy
guys.
hat. There's probably a dance at some point, like a town dance, like in Back to the Future 3.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
There's a Surrey. I think there's Fringe on top.
That's right. That's not. I mean, that was like I only know that from When Harry Met Sally, because he goes into some Oklahoma in that movie. Then we have The Outsiders, the Francis Ford Coppola adaptation of S.E. Hinton's novel. And this has everybody who was anybody,
Yeah, that's right.
who was going to be anybody in the 80s, except for like Sean Penn or somebody like that. But it had,
I know, and you could have told me that Sean Penn was in this, and I would believe you.
Yeah. But you had, Tom Cruise is playing a minor role in this, but Patrick Swayze's in it, Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell,
Matt Dillon is the other.
Dillon's in there.
Matt Dillon, Diane Lane is in this. I believe this is a movie that everybody who was like a young actor around this age.
Yeah, I'll run it down for you. So, yeah, we mentioned C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane, Leif Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
And fucking Tom Waits is in this, too.
Yeah. There was, I think every actor of some certain age, 18 to 22, tried out for this movie. And everybody who was in the movie tried out as other people, as other characters. So like, yeah, Swayze going for like, tried out for 3 different roles, or Ralph Macchio tried out for a bunch of roles and everything. This is, basically what it's, you wouldn't say greasers, I guess.
They are greasers.
But I guess they are. Are they greasers? Against the rich kids, essentially. And
it's like West Side Story without the music.
yeah,
It is.
And at some point, what is it? Is it one of the greasers kills one of those guys, and then they have to go? I think it's Ralph Macchio and C. Thomas Howell go on the run, and then they're like hiding out for a while. And so yeah, that's basically the story of The Outsiders.
And they end up saving like a church or a house full of kids or something like that. And that's where Ralph Macchio, what is his character's name? Ralph Macchio is
Pony
Johnny.
Boy?
No, Pony Boy is C. Thomas.
I took a shot.
But yeah, so like they become like these folk heroes and everything, but they still have this dispute with the socks and all that stuff, and it's the greasers and the socks, and then Ralph Macchio is laid up in the hospital with all these like 3rd-degree burns and everything. He says it's not worth it. It's not worth all the pain and all that shit. And that's where you get C. Thomas coming in there and saying, we won this fight and everything. Is like, I don't care about that. And on his dying words, he says, "Stay golden, Pony Boy. Stay golden."
And then in the next room, Dennis Hopper is listening to the game on the radio, and he gets all excited when they start running the picket fence.
Yeah.
This was a book. I read this book in middle school.
Did you really?
One of the reasons I think so many actors went out for this movie was that I think I was on the tail end of about 30 years of everybody being forced to read this book in school. And so it became this piece of literature that was like a touchstone for 2 or 3 generations. And so these kids probably weren't that much older than me when they made this movie. I remember liking the book. I saw the movie once. I remember thinking it was okay. I don't remember anything about either one of them, really. Knives.
Yep.
Leather jackets.
Yep.
Can't really relate.
Yeah.
Ponies.
It's a class warfare.
Yep.
Basically, what it comes down to. Is it socks or is it soch? Like it's an abbreviation of social or socialite.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
So aren't they called soches or are they called socks? I can't remember. I think they were soches.
Could be.
But yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I've seen it in the last couple of years. Same year, Francis Ford Coppola also adapted an S.E. Hinton novel called Rumblefish, which also has Matt Dillon in it.
Yeah.
And it's also Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. Also Oklahoma.
Well, here's how dense I am. So he's working on this at the same time. Like on his off off days for The Outsiders, Francis Ford Coppola is like writing the screenplay for this with S.E. Hinton. There's so much overlap of this. Like Matt Dillon is in it, Diane Lane is in it, Tom Waits is in this one too, and it could overlap story wise. I had no idea that these movies were even somewhat tied together. I thought they were in completely different years. But looking at this, because I've seen both of them and I liked both of them, but they seem different in tone because one is more about like the family with Mickey Rourke and Matt Dillon and all that stuff. And it's about gangs, but it's a whole different, like almost rural gang type of culture.
I've never seen it. The Outsiders came out in March of 1983, and this one came out in October of 1993. 83.
Yeah.
Sorry. 1983.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like, yeah, as soon as The Outsiders was done, he just went right into this one.
Yeah, it's really good. This one also has a great, by the way, Dennis Hopper in Rumblefish.
I knew that.
Did you know? Vincent Spano, Nicolas Cage is in this, Chris Penn, Lawrence Fishburne, Sofia Coppola is in this.
Oh, she's probably like 9.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's itty bitty.
Then we have the biggest movie out of this whole thing is Twister.
Yeah.
Twister. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
Sure
this
was
is
fun.
this whole plot is a bunch of tornado chasers trying to find the best way to predict tornadoes by chasing tornadoes and throwing in some sort of digital balls that will give them information about the rotation and all sort of stuff. I don't know how, really. That eventually
You got to get it right up in the hole, though.
You do.
You got to punch it right up in there.
There's a lot of that.
You can't just you know tangentially. It's like Independence Day.
Gotta
Where you
give
got to fly up.
Gotta
right
give
in
it
the hole.
foreplay.
You got to tickle the taint.
Yeah, exactly. Tickle the taint is the most important thing. But like, this movie's somewhat. It's somewhat a landmark type of film though, because this was the first. I don't know. This trailer was different from any trailer I've ever seen. It's one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
So good that they didn't even use some of the footage.
Yeah. It was a bunch. They'd show the footage and it would go to black.
Yeah.
And you just hear sound, and then it would just go. It'd come back up, and there'd be more sound, and it'd go back to black, and everything. And it really got people really excited about watching this. Twister is the movie that I always cite as the one that started the summer season in May. This was where we first started seeing summer movies kicking off. Not Memorial Day, but now early May was getting the summer treatment. It used to be they waited until Memorial Day, but Twister came out on, I believe it was actually maybe the week before, maybe not the first week, but the second week of May.
17th.
And so it's the first time to sort of eschew Memorial Day as the beginning of the summer. Then we started seeing that a lot. Like The Mummy came out in early May, I believe. And now we see it now that first week in May is so coveted that all the Marvel stuff is coming out on those days. But
is that when Avengers 4 is going to come out?
Yes.
First week of May.
In fact, I think I looked at this a couple years ago. Marvel has the first week in May tied up with Marvel movies until at least 2020.
Wow.
And then I think I haven't looked since. I'm sure they have a 2021 and a 2022 now. Twister, the movie, is not good. I
would agree.
I guess it's got some fun in it.
Oh, it's definitely got some fun.
Yeah, it's got some fun in it. And yeah, once you're really not taking it seriously, you can get in on the Bill Paxton performance and
that is.
I think we're going in.
Joe, it's not going to bring him back, Joe. Oh man, his performance was like nails on a chalkboard.
The funniest fucking thing in this movie to me is they're sitting there talking about the levels of tornadoes, all right? So they're saying level 1, and level 2, blow your hair back, and then level 3, oh yeah. But they're joking about level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then Jamie Gertz, poor Jamie Gertz.
She never did nothing wrong.
That's right. She goes, what about a level 5? And it turns into a funeral. We don't talk about level 5 in here. That's the one that killed Helen Hunt's dad. They're sitting there just joking, uproarious about the level 4 that probably also killed people. But once the level 5 comes in,
Have it right there, 4.
yeah, exactly. No, Bill Paxton should have like turned and been like, "Don't mention the level 5. I'll tell you about the level 5 later in private."
Oh, it's true.
Oh man,
It's for the time though. What awesome effects,
yeah.
You have Philip Seymour Hoffman in there, Jeremy Davies.
Yeah, and now when I saw Philip Seymour Hoffman back in 1996, I did not think, "Oh, there's Philip Seymour Hoffman."
No,
it was
'cause
more
he's
like,
acting-
"Here's this." Always have one of these guys in these movies like this, like, "Oh, he's the cut up, he's the fat guy or whatever."
He was the same thing in Son of a Woman. Like he was that guy. You didn't think that he had all of this ability.
I
behind him.
remember this movie as the movie where I went, "Oh, it's the Aaron Burr Got Milk guy."
Yeah.
Do you remember that Got Milk commercial where the guy had a mouthful and couldn't answer the trivia question, who killed Alexander Hamilton in
Not
a duel?
Philip Seymour Hoffman, the other,
the skinnier looking guy with big eyes. He's the Aaron Burr.
Yeah.
Remember that Got Milk commercial?
Yeah.
He's in Twister in like a speaking role. He's one of the gang.
It's like the guy who plays Sheldon. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Joey Slotnick, is that it?
No. Oh, well, in Twister, yeah, I think that's what it is. But the guy who plays Sheldon. What is his name? Not Alan
Parsons. Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons. I was about to say Alan Parsons.
Alan Parsons Project.
Time flowing like a river. No, Jim Parsons
Is that
was.
some Alan Parsons?
Yeah.
I don't know any Alan Parsons.
Why would you?
I know them because I did listen to some albums. No, Jim Parsons was in a gum commercial. It was one of those gums that lasts a really long time or whatever. And he's one of the like people in the back, like that's doing they said that, this gum lasts way too long. They're not selling enough because the gum
I remember these commercials.
and this, whatever they're doing, studying or whatever, it's like taking forever or whatever. And Jim Parsons is the guy who's like, I guess this gum really does last too long. And that's pretty much how that commercial went. But then he was on Big Bang Theory, and that's what everybody knows him
Aaron
from
Burr.
now.
Aaron Burr.
We just went through, we like people listening to this are mixing up 3 actors: Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jim Parsons, and Joey Slotnick.
Yes.
I don't even think Joey Slotnick is the guy I'm talking about. Joey Slotnick.
I think so.
No,
He's
Joey
got the big eyes and the
No, Joey Slotnick was on a sitcom with Brooke Shields. He was on that, I think. He was on that. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes. Desperately Seeking Susan.
The guy you're talking about is Sean Whalen.
Thank you.
Joey Slotnick is in. Yeah, I remember him in it because he's a character actor that's been in a million things. He doesn't have very many lines in the movie. But Sean Whalen is the guy that.
Aaron Burr.
Hey, Todd Field is in it too. He's the Nick Nightingale in Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, there you go.
And he directed In the Bedroom.
Yeah. Weird career.
What a weird career is.
Yeah.
Then next, one of my favorite comedies of all time, UHF. This movie is as dumb as it fucking gets. But man, are there so many great moments in it. Weird Al Yankovic, in a starring role.
Was he famous already from the music stuff?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He had already done, I believe, in fact, he had already, Fat was a big thing. I think he had done, this came out in 88, so maybe he hadn't done the Even Worse album yet.
This is 89, so I think Even Worse came out before then.
Okay. I'm not sure if it may have come out just before this. So he had a pretty good, well-known career, musical career at this point. And he was in The Naked Gun briefly, coming off the plane. Like, they're not here for you, Frank. Weird Al Yankovic's on the plane. He's in there waving to everybody with lays on his neck. And, the movie is about, a guy, like I think his uncle wins a UHF station at a poker game.
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't know what to do with it. And his wife convinces him to give it to Weird Al Yankovic's character to run. And it's this, terrible UHF station, has no real original programming on it or anything. But they start coming out with a couple of shows that obviously don't really connect whatsoever. And they try to do this. He tries to do this like Pee-wee's Playhouse or like Krusty the Clown or whatever you want to call it type of show that's on there for kids. And the kids aren't having any fun. And the station's about to go kaput. And he basically just gives Michael Richards, who's playing a janitor in this movie, free reign to just do whatever he wants to do on the show. So he goes to a bar to drink all his miseries away. And somehow, in the time that he's walked from there to the bar, this show is a huge hit. Stanley Spadowski's Playhouse becomes a thing. And because Stanley Spadowski, as embodied by Michael Richards, is absolutely super fun. He's very kid friendly and everything, and he becomes awesome. So that show becomes a big hit, and based on that big hit, they start coming out with a bunch of other stupid shit that somehow, I guess, become hits. They become such hits that they're number one in the market. There's the shittiest things ever they come up with. Bowling for burgers and fun with dirt. So there's an extended musical parody of Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, based on the Beverly Hillbillies in this. It's really funny. The whole thing is think of the Dire Straits' Money for Nothing and then put in the Beverly Hillbillies lyrics, basically. And it's really good. But yeah, it's a movie. I'm not going to recowarn. I'm recommending UHF.
I haven't seen it in forever.
UHF,
I loved it though.
UHF is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
But and especially at the beginning, it's kind of grating at the beginning. But once they get into the stupidity of this movie, it's fun. Yeah. It's a really fun. There's a lot of weird movie parodies in this, like Gandhi 2. There's a Conan the Librarian. There's a Rambo spoof that's really good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because there's a point in the Rambo spoof where the guy's shooting at him, and he's 5 feet away, and Weird Al Yankovic, who's playing Rambo, is just standing there. You find out that he swallowed all the bullets, and then he shoots the bullets with his mouth, and kills the guy. Oh man, I can't recommend UHF highly enough.
Weird Al Yankovic is so fucking smart. It's amazing how smart this guy is, and absurdly talented. He can do anything.
Yeah.
Super nice guy too. I think we've talked about that before though. He's always asked permission of the artists whose song he spoofs before he makes it.
Yeah.
It was one I think I brought up on a previous podcast where he didn't get permission, but he didn't get denied.
It was that Coolio Dangerous Minds song.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. He's a nice guy.
But then they said the California is the place that you want to be. Then we have Where the Red Fern Grows. I am not sure if I've ever seen a movie adaptation of this. I've read this book
really?
twice.
Oh.
It's oh my God. It is rough.
What are we talking about?
Where the Red Fern Grows.
Oh, I've never read it, never seen it.
Okay, so Where the Red Fern Grows is about a guy, a poor kid in Tennessee.
In Oklahoma.
Is it Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. We're doing Oklahoma. But I thought.
Yeah, he's obsessed with
coon
hunting.
No, is it Tennessee Blue Tick Hounds? Is that what it is?
Maybe so.
Tennessee Blue Tick Hounds.
It's a blue tick pup. I don't know if they're called Tennessee blue tick, but they're blue tick coon hounds.
There was some Tennessee connection. Anyway, yes, we are doing Oklahoma. Sorry, Oklahoma.
Sorry.
So sorry. No, it's about a poor kid who wants to go and do I guess competitive hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And what he really needs is really good bloodhounds who can track the game and everything. And I can't remember how he gets the two puppies that he ends up getting.
I don't know,
but they end up being the best fucking dogs ever. If you know any story involving dogs, you know this doesn't end well.
No.
No.
It ends. You think it ends badly, and then it ends even badlier.
Yes. Yes. It is not for it's not for your inner animal lover to
And yet, we all read this book, or at least you and I probably read it when I was probably in like 7th grade or something like that.
Young
Well, when did you watch Old Yeller? They were doing that shit to you.
Oh yeah,
I was like
and in
7.
this one, at least the dogs just die. Like one dies after being in a fight with a cougar or something like that, and then the other one dies of a broken heart.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck me.
But in Yeller, he got to put that shit down himself.
But I'm saying, man, like, I wasn't allowed to watch Cheers because there was beer. But I had to watch Old Yeller. Come on.
Yep.
Oh my god.
In the book, do both of them attack the cougar or the mountain lion or whatever? Is it both of them? They're both trying to
I don't know.
protect him,
Right, and they do.
Yeah,
of
and
course they die in
they
the
die in the
process.
process and everything.
Fucking dogs.
Spoiler alert. But all you have to do is know the name is called Where the Red Fern Grows.
Yep.
And you see dogs are in it. You know where this is headed.
So is the red ferns like blood spattered all over the fern?
And it's exactly where it grows when they bury the dogs.
So a red fern is a real plant?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess in this book it is, at least.
Yeah.
Now, I really like this book.
Oh, it's super well written. Yeah. And
it's
the
just-
movie is actually good. We watched this in school after we read the book.
But prepare to cry.
Yeah.
Prepare to cry.
Yeah.
Was it Wilson Rawls who wrote the book?
Wilson Rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I can
killed the
still see
doggies.
that on the cover. Too.
Yeah.
to cry.
All right. So now we're going to go down this list that I, up until last week, did not know it was Barrett hadn't seen them yet movie. I just really looked at that heading as like, I just skipped that heading every time. I just thought they were just movies that, maybe, I don't know. I didn't read the fucking heading.
I don't have time to read your goddamn emails.
Just like skimming over this shit. I've got too much shit to do. Bringing Up Bobby, I've never seen this. Apparently, Famke Janssen, I'm going to say Janssen this time, directed.
She directed it. Have you seen this? May be like right up your alley.
Which one is it?
Bringing Up Bobby. It's a 2011 drama. It's directed by Famke Janssen and has Mila Jovovich, Bill Pullman, Rory Cochrane, Marcia Cross. Premiered at the Nashville Film Festival.
Oh,
It
wow.
looks like something that, like Mila Jovovich is a mom that is single mom trying to raise her son. She gets in trouble, so it goes over to Bill Pullman and his wife and that kind of thing.
It does sound like something that I would watch, but no, I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
Then there is Bug, which is a William Friedkin directed.
Hang on. I'm sorry.
What?
For the soundtrack of Bringing Up Bobby, the Flaming Lips recorded a version of Amazing Grace in Ukrainian. The fuck?
Well, she is Dutch.
That's right. That's correct.
What the fuck?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, what do you expect? They're Canadian.
Okay. So the original film score was Junkie XL. The soundtrack includes a cover version of Proud Mary sung by Mila Jovovich in Ukrainian.
Oh, wow.
What a weird
Is
fucking
she
thing.
Ukrainian?
Oh, I thought she was Russian, but maybe so.
You mean they're right next to each other?
They sure are. That's the whole thing. She is American. Well, she was born in Ukraine, so fuck
Okay.
you, Wikipedia American actress.
Yankopedia.
You don't say Ukraine is weak.
Anyway, yeah, so that's wild. I may have to check that out, actually.
Yeah, maybe so.
Anyway, go.
Then we have Bug, which is a William Friedkin directed movie with Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd in it.
Seen it.
Yeah, and it's fucking crazy.
It's pretty fucked up.
Is it good?
So these couple like gets into a motel room and some early signs indicate that at least I think Ashley Judd thinks that she's being eaten by this like parasitic bug of some sort. We can't see the bug, but her paranoia starts to infect Michael Shannon. And so by the end of this movie, they're both like just they both swear that there's like, a bug that is eating them alive and they're going crazy. Doesn't Harry Connick Jr. show up in this?
Yeah, he's like, I think Michael Shannon and her only meet at the beginning of this movie, and Harry Connick is like her abusive boyfriend or something.
Okay.
But I watched it, kind of regretted it, not so much, like it didn't make me puke or anything, but it was just like, creepy, gross, don't really understand it.
Is it kind of gross?
Well, they cut themselves open and stuff.
They think there's bugs in their skin, and they're trying to prove it. Imagine what imagery a movie like that will show you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take away the fact that it's got actually Michael Shannon and Harry Connick Jr. in it, and think more like, dirty, grimy.
No, that's the reason I haven't seen this
that
movie.
Christina Aguilera dirty video. Think that.
Yeah.
Screenplay was written by Tracy Letts, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say this was based on a play.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was about to say I think this might be another Tracy Letts.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Is Tom Waits in it too?
Yeah, probably is. But it's one of those things you never know. I mean, I think you do know that there is no bug, but they think there is, and they go absolutely insane.
Do you like it?
I didn't like it. I don't think I liked it when I watched. Now I haven't seen it since, and I could have a different appreciation for it now. But
You might. I saw it like literally 3 months ago and didn't like it. That doesn't mean that you would not like it as well. It's not like we're identical people here.
But I didn't like it when I first saw it, and I just have. I think I have in general. I have a problem with movies that do that whole "is it real or is it not" type of thing a lot of times, and I don't find that interesting a lot of times. That whole that's a broad brush.
No,
because
sure, yeah,
there's a lot of movies that I would say I do like under that, but it's one of those that just depends on how it plays out in the movie a lot of times, and it's one of those where it's like, I don't think there is one, but why are we pretending like there is, or like there isn't, or whatever, or like there is this whole time, or whatever? Like I don't know. It's kind of hard to put into words. It is kind of a gross movie.
Yeah. Like the non-dream vision parts of Sucker Punch.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah. Then we have The Dark at the Top of the Stairs. This came out in 1960. I've never seen it.
The Dark, huh? Why don't you just turn on a light? God damn.
Yeah, right.
It ain't that hard.
I know, but maybe in 1960 you couldn't light the stairs.
They didn't have electricity.
yeah. This got a couple of Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and a Directors Guild award for.
There's
Delbert
a
Mann.
very comely woman on the IMDb picture. I have never heard of this. 7.4 on IMDb though, and it was in Oklahoma.
Well,
Yeah.
all right then.
There you go.
That does it.
Have you seen this? Then we have Into the Storm. Have you seen this?
Okay. All right. So first of all, why? Why did you see this?
Because it was on. Because I like that girl from Walking Dead.
Which one is it?
Isn't that girl from Walking Dead in this? She was in Prison Break.
Oh, Sarah Wayne Callies.
Yeah. Is she in this movie?
Yeah.
That's why I watched it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Any redeemable qualities
Nope.
at all?
Nope.
Do you like
could
disaster movies at
You
all?
could take The Rock's monkey from Rampage and put him in this movie, and it would improve it.
The Rock's.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's bad. I haven't even seen Geostorm. Geostorm's better than this movie. It's like they made all the choices that even Roland Emmerich is too good to make.
Dude, this and Geostorm had the shittiest trailers in terms of CGI,
Yeah.
cheapness, like everything looked awful.
CGI's
about
bad. It's just yes.
Well,
This. It looked like a bad sci-fi
You
movie.
know, the movies like
channel.
Twister leave so much of I don't know if an indelible mark, but they leave a mark that when you come out with a movie called Into the Storm, even 18 years fucking later, it just seems like a ripoff of that movie. It doesn't feel like enough time has gone by for some reason, because there's not much you can do with fucking twisters and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not much other than just let's just destroy shit again.
Well, then in 2012, there's 3 twisters in LA at once.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even dangerous.
Right. It's just, you can't. They're gonna have to give the disaster movie a little bit of break for a while before that comes back.
You would think.
The problem is they just keep thinking more is better, bigger is better, bigger is better. When really it's the same. That's the same thing that Die Hard suffered from, was that they need to go back to a smaller disaster. A disaster can be disastery without, stretching across the entire fucking globe.
I know.
It doesn't have to be an earth killer for it to be a disaster movie.
Yeah, like we won't be excited if it's not the whole goddamn world.
Exactly. Oh, global warming is here, and every single human is in peril. Great. I'm actually tuning out more now.
Right,
exactly.
right. Then we have Leaves of Grass. Is that based on Walt Whitman?
No, it is. This is a stoner
How do you
movie.
call something Leaves of Grass?
It's a stoner movie, right?
Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Okay, I don't think it is.
Is it a
may
stoner
be.
movie?
Yes, it is, actually. Rival marijuana dealers. Okay, so this is directed by Tim Blake Nelson and written by Tim Blake
I
Nelson.
fucking saw this movie like 2 weeks ago.
It's Edward Norton in two roles.
No, I didn't see this movie.
Okay, it's Edward Norton playing twins. You didn't see this? Okay.
I remember the trailer for this.
It's Edward Norton playing two roles: Richard Dreyfuss, Susan Sarandon, Kerry Russell, Tim Blake Nelson, Melanie Linsky, Steve Earle, Ty Burrell, Pruitt Taylor Vince. Like, there's a ton of people in this fucking movie.
Jeez. Yeah.
And I've never heard of it.
I remember the trailer.
You remember the trailer?
That's it.
Jeez, I didn't.
I just
see
because
that.
I remember being intrigued by Ed Norton playing twins, like two versions of like two different characters.
I guess it's getting to the point now where marijuana comedies or whatever it's impossible to name anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Without, everything's been done now.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to go and just take Walt Whitman's fucking book. And just Leave the Grass. What is he talking about there?
The next stoner comedy starring Dave Chappelle will be called How Green Was My Valley.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Then we have Silkwood. This is a Mike Nichols movie directing Meryl Streep about the dangers of nuclear waste and everything. Really good movie. This is sort of based on a true story. Workers who are exposed to like awful levels of radiation and everything, and don't have any laws to protect them and everything. And Meryl Streep is the person who's trying to get better regulations at the plant. The actual person was killed. There was never any, I don't know if there was ever any investigation into it being a murder or anything like that. And the movie does that careful thing at the end where it says there was no evidence that this was a murder or whatever like that. And we don't want to accuse anybody of murder, but the movie pretty much says I think she was run off the road or the car crashed into her or something like that. But it's one of those. It's one of those type of movies. Someone wants to get better regulations out of thing. We've seen a bunch of these type of movies. Silkwood is very good. That's a heavy hitter right there. Heavy hitters. Mike Nichols and Meryl Streep and there's some other people who
Kurt Russell's in
Kurt
there.
Russell,
and
yeah.
Cher.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm kind of not happy about Cher because Cher can just drop in to anything and be fucking awesome. Like, I think she got nominated. She got nominated for this. And she got nominated for Moonstruck later on. Like, she can just, I'm just going to act. And she does it, like, at the top of everything. And then, I want to sing by myself. Oh, no, I want to sing with Sonny. Or, like, and then she fucking kills everything.
And not just did get nominated for Moonstruck, she won for Moonstruck.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Craig T. Nelson is in this.
I want to wear a thong on stage with Turn Back in Time and big hair. And I'm going to be copied by drag queens for years to come. Fucking Cher.
It's not a nuclear plant. It's a plutonium processing plant. It's the same sort of deal. Radiation is the big issue and everything. But it's really good. It's one of the. I wouldn't have expected to like this movie. And every time I do have this Meryl Streep bias where I'm like, she's not in anything that I like. I don't like Deer Hunter. I don't like there's a lot of like million of movies that. But this one always comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this one. The cover of the video cover of Silkwood is basically her final days.
Yeah.
She's like looking in the rearview mirror. I would recommend Silkwood.
I got to check that out.
Then there is Thunderstruck.
No.
Not based on anything AC/DC, huh?
You seen this?
No.
Okay, so it's Kevin Durant.
Okay.
As when he's with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right.
And there's a kid who tries to hit a half-court shot or something like that, but in the process, he sucks in Kevin Durant's powers, his basketball powers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How does this happen?
I don't know.
Is there like an electrical, like, is there
like a voodoo?
like lightning strike him?
But then Kevin Durant starts being shitty as a basketball player. And so, like, and the kid, like, makes his middle school team and shit like that, and he's, like, doing behind the back passes. And then, so they have to arrange where he and Kevin Durant do a swip swap thing, and
Did you see this recently? Because this is under your not seen list.
No. I've just read about it.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've seen probably clips here and there from it. It's
It has to be struck by lightning or something. You can't really be thunderstruck, but you can be struck by lightning for sure. And but I don't know how you're struck by lightning while inside.
I tell you what, man, these basketball players. So you got Shaquille O'Neal's done at least 2 movies, right?
Yep.
LeBron James has done Trainwreck, and he's probably been.
Shaquille's done at least 3 because he did Kazam.
Right.
He did Blue Chips.
Oh,
and
he did Steel.
He did Steel.
Oh, okay. And then you've got Uncle Drew that just came out.
Yep.
You got Space Jam. You got Thunderstruck. Like there's Eddie. There's fucking Forget Paris. Like there's always going to be some sort of
He got game.
some sort of like NBA Hollywood overlap, and then you get shit like this, man. It's just
And that's why we're expecting a Space Jam with LeBron James.
They announced that shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's coming out.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Too Young to Die. 1990.
Is there a question mark?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
TV movie with Juliette Lewis and Brad Pitt, who were in a movie called California with a K that came out in 1993. But they were in this 3 years prior.
Yeah. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Yeah. Well, I think they were too young to die, to be honest with you.
Were
Yeah, they probably were.
I mean, I'm answering the question. There's nobody else that's really.
I mean, in 1990, I would say yes. Juliette Lewis was probably like 16.
Something about drugs and prostitution, but I'm going to go ahead and say they were too young to die.
Juliette Lewis was definitely too young to die. She was 16. Brad Pitt was probably 20.
I think he was old enough to die.
3, something like that. He's just on the cusp of being like old enough to die.
I'll tell you what, that California movie, I like that movie.
Yeah. I saw it come on the other day. I was
Really?
watching pieces of it. I hadn't seen it since it came
You know who's
out.
great in that movie? Ensign Rowe.
What?
Michelle Forbes.
Oh,
She was Ensign Rowe on Star Trek The Next Generation.
All right. I was sitting there going, oh, yeah, I don't know that one. Sorry, I can't catch your reference.
I had a Michelle Forbes thing for about a hot minute.
Oh, I like Michelle Forbes a lot. Swimming with Sharks, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have, this is rounding us out, Where the Heart Is. This is the Natalie Portman pregnant, gives birth in a Walmart
baby.
movie.
Yeah.
And Ashley Judd is in this, and I think Susan Sarandon.
And
Yes, Dr. Channing.
Ben
Foster?
Not Ben Foster. Ben Forbes. Ben something with an F. Ben British Ben.
There's no Sally Field, I think, is who you're thinking about, not Susan Sarandon.
Oh, yeah, because there's another movie that Ashley Judd and Susan Sarandon are in, and it came out around the same time. And what was that called?
That's Anywhere But Here.
Anywhere But Here. They were about the same movie, except Natalie Portman's not pregnant and gives birth in a Walmart.
Yeah, basically.
You
could do a double feature of those two movies and not know which was which when you were done.
Joan Cusack, James Frain, Dylan Bruno, Keith David. That's funny. Sally Field. I don't see any Bens.
Rufus?
Huh?
You might be thinking of Anywhere But Here as well.
There's like a library dude, book guy. Let me look at this. Go back to the cast, goddammit. James Frain. See, I told you.
Forney?
So that was the guy I was thinking of, was either a Ben or a Rufus.
Yeah, so
I was wrong.
Yeah, Anywhere But Here had Natalie Portman and Susan Sarandon. Mother and Daughter Search for Success in Beverly Hills. And then then Where the Heart Is came out like, was it months later?
It was the same goddamn year.
It was, one was 99 and the other was 2000, but I think they were very close. Like, so Where the Heart Is was 2000, April 2000, and then Anywhere But Here, November 99.
Oh,
and I believe they had posters that were similar too, had same color palette and everything. So like I've gotten those movies confused forever. I'm even surprised that I got the plot right of Where the Heart Is, because they're so similar.
Wow.
But anyway, I don't remember much about that movie. I saw it.
I think giving birth on the Walmart floor is
That's about
good
it.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the movie. That happened in real life. Like a girl ended up in a Walmart in real life, probably in Oklahoma, gave birth, and they found out like the next day the next week she'd been living there or whatever. It was, hey, let's make a movie out of that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. She like waits until the store closes and then gets like food and shit.
Yeah, she's like walking all around. There's actually a pretty funny sequence where she wakes up before the employees get there, and she like puts the alarm clock back in its packaging and puts it back on the shelf and basically tears down her living space. Yeah.
And then Jennifer Connelly and Frank Whaley start skating around in the store, and Frank Whaley falls in love with Jennifer Connelly.
That's the greatest.
All right, so that does it for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's a few good ones in there.
Mm-hmm.
What would be my favorite out of this? It's either Silkwood, The Outsiders, or UHF.
Yeah, I need to watch UHF again. I would encourage people to watch August Osage or Osage County. I think that's a.
I may have to watch that.
It's got some comedic elements to it. It's got some dramatic elements. It's got terrific acting.
Just add it to the 500 or so that I've been told that I need to see.
That's right.
Like last week we were talking about Take Shelter, and it was like a movie that I was like, yeah, no, we need to see this or whatever. And of course, somebody came on and like, you gotta watch Take Shelter, man. This is a great movie, and it's about mental health and everything. It's got Michael Shannon in it.
Oh, with Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. So yeah, I will watch it. I'll watch it at some point.
Get off my back!
Yeah,
they took my uterus.
That's right.
Was that an outtakes? That was an outtakes.
Oh my god.
You had a context.
Oh man.
So you want to recommend some stuff?
Let's recommend
Totes Amazeballs.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award
Oh, for what?
for best movie ever made.
What do you lead the charge here, because you swooped in and stole Buster Scruggs from me twice now in the email chain, and I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but I'm probably going to like it about 13% less than Jeremy does. And I don't know about Chris. Because this movie isn't a movie necessarily. It's an anthology, essentially. And that to me is off-putting and not off-putting, because each vignette takes its time, as it should. And sometimes it's such a jarring stop-start that it takes me a bit to just mentally get back into that frame of mind, or get into this new frame of mind. Not to say that that's to the detriment of the movie. It's exactly how they set that up. But there are some that are super short, or maybe there was one or two that's super short, and then there are some that seem like they're interminable. And there's some that I think go on too long, that are a little too self-indulgent. But overall, I think I love this movie, if for nothing else other than how fucking beautiful it is.
It is gorgeous.
God.
It is gorgeous.
I was certain that it was Deakins again, because that's who the Coen Brothers use all the time. But they used a guy named Bruno Del Bonnell, who did Inside Llewyn Davis for them.
Oh yeah,
but he's also more known for Amelie, and he's did Along
Came a Spider.
Very long, Along Came a Spider. Let's bring that fucking movie up again. A Very Long Engagement and Across the Universe.
Oh wow,
he's done those. So I thought for sure watching this movie it was Deakins, but this guy is obviously really good too.
Yeah, where the most Deakins-esque. Is that a thing?
Yeah, sure.
That it gets for me is that old Prospect of the Tom Waits one.
Absolutely.
There are shots in there where it feels fucking fake.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
so pretty.
Yeah.
It feels fake. What did you think overall?
I really liked it. I know what Barrett is saying here. I don't think I disliked any of the stories. I love the Tim Blake Nelson thing at the beginning.
Yes. Started off with a fucking bang.
Yes.
No pun intended. Like,
Well, yeah.
started off beautifully.
Yeah. The Tim Blake Nelson thing is good. I really liked the Zoe Kazan story that happens like towards the end where they're going on the wagon train to Oregon, basically the Oregon Trail. And then I really like the Liam Neeson thing. The Liam Neeson where he's like got this guy who has got no arms and no legs who's performing for a like sparse group of people every night and everything. And this guy just does the same monologue every night. And then, he starts like not getting the customers anymore towards the end. But, what are the other ones left over that I haven't mentioned? There's the one at the very end.
The wagon.
Yeah. The coach, the 5 people in it.
The coach ride to death, I guess.
That's what I think
purgatory.
that was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, that was the vibe I got.
But
And then
The Prospector's the other one that you...
the Prospector and the James
the
Franco
Prospector
one.
one. Yeah.
Mr. Pocket.
Yeah.
Now, the Liam Neeson one is by far and away my favorite.
Why?
Why?
Why? That's my least favorite.
A couple things. I like the way it's edited, especially the last sequence where it's showing it just shows him doing a line from the speech, and then it shows them packing up, and then it shows him doing a line from the speech, and then it shows the crowd getting a little smaller than last time, and then it shows him a line from and sometimes it's the same line. I saw a man, and then he'll do like a different, and he'll be doing like a Bible passage the next time. The way that it's chopped up together right there is exhilarating to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then the reason I love it is the cold fucking logical brutality of it. That he, if you can look at it from a purely business standpoint, he makes the right decision.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should, but if you look back, there's no real relationship between them. There's no interaction. They don't have conversations together.
No, and I think that's why I don't like it that much. Because he's so cold and unfeeling.
I was going to say I don't think he ever viewed that guy as a person.
It's called, the segment is called Meal Ticket.
It is.
So yeah,
it is.
It's basically.
But, by the way, that actor is Dudley from the Harry Potter movies. Like the
really?
Portly cousin.
That makes sense, yeah.
No shit.
And not only has he lost weight, he does a great job in this. I just think it's so fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Because the anthology does, first of all, almost no one comes out ahead. The Prospector's really the only one who kind of wins. And even he's half dead anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? The whole movie is about once you get through the first 2, which is the Tim Blake Nelson and then the James Franco one, you start realizing that everybody you see here is screwed.
Yep.
Like everybody is going to have their moment.
And I think that's the point. Like death is clearly, I think, the central theme along all of them.
Oh yeah.
And I just like the ride. The only one that doesn't really move me very much is the James Franco one. And maybe it's because I don't have the background knowledge of this Clint Eastwood movie that it's hinting at.
And it's so fast.
Yeah, it's a really quick one.
It's really quick. And it doesn't hinder anything for me. And in a weird way, if you took it out, I think it detracts from the whole, even though I don't like it as much as the other ones. There's something about them all together, blemishes and flaws, the ones that run a little too long or aren't quite as good, that makes the whole something. I've watched it 3 times now, and I don't know why. There's almost no Coen Brothers movie I like that much. No Country and Hudsucker Proxy are the only ones that I ever like. I gotta watch that again. I want to watch that again. But this one, I'm drawn to it. I'm not sure why. But the Prospector and Liam Neeson, those are the 2 I like the most.
Yeah. The first one to me is all of. When you described this to us originally, you were saying it's the best parts of like Hudsucker and No Brother, Where Art Thou, and all that stuff. And I think the first one in particular
is
perfectly that, because you've got the music, you've got Tim Blake Nelson really just like hamming it up, especially on his horse Dan or something like that. and you've got that beautiful Monument Valley that he's walking through or riding through. And what you always have to remember about the Coens is how shockingly brutal they can be.
Yep.
And in this glamorized cowboy western thing where it looks like a spaghetti western basically, and then he starts shooting people's fingers off and shit like that, and like real shit starts happening. You're like, oh. Or when he's the Clancy Brown thing where he starts hitting the fucking table.
Fucking awesome.
It makes you think. It makes you think about the hand that he was
How
dealt.
much do you think David Krumholtz got paid?
He may have done that for free.
He may have. He may have. He has like the one line, and he's only in like one scene.
I would imagine it was scale, whatever you want to.
probably.
He'd just be like, yeah, put me in this. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that first one had everything for me. And then I love the pacing with the second one. By the way, James Franco is just turning into a really good actor. I know he's got business and stuff like that, but he's just a really good actor.
There's something to be said for somebody who has done everything, man. He's that period of time where he was going to NYU and taking classes and being in a soap opera and just
making experimental 20-minute films in black and white,
doing all that. Which is that where all the business came from? Was those experimental 20-minute films that he was doing?
I have no idea. I just know of one incident that was reported.
He's got one allegation.
But but there's something to be said about somebody who goes through all those rigors like that. There's nobody probably on this earth that has learned more about acting than he has.
Mm-hmm. And he's stoic. He's stoic in this vignette, but he's not, I don't know, like you could still tell that he's got some personality and some zip and that kind of thing.
Well, it's my least favorite of there's 6 of them, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But when he turns at the second hanging to the old man who's crying and says, first time.
Yeah.
That may be my favorite beat in the entire anthology.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So, yeah, I just love it, and I'm glad that you guys at least enjoyed it, and it doesn't sound like you loved it. 13% less?
Yeah, and I want to watch it again because, God, everything is so fucking
that
gorgeous
Prospector,
in this.
man, I just love watching. I feel like, and obviously it cuts, but I feel like we get to watch his whole process. Exactly how he goes about doing what he does. This just happens to be the one where it works because the gold is there.
Yes.
But like him cutting a little bit over here and cutting a little bit over here and cutting a little bit over here, and how he calls it Mr. Pocket.
Yeah.
And then when the guy shoots him in the back, what's he call him? A measly skunk?
I don't know.
Yes.
You measly skunk!
Yeah.
He says it like 3 times in a row. I just, everything about that is great. I want to live in that particular
You're right.
valley.
That's one that goes on for a long time, but doesn't seem like it goes on for a long time because it's methodical. He goes through and as a viewer, I'm like, oh, he found gold in that first dig. Mm-hmm. And he's like, throws it out in the river. Like, what the fuck,
he doesn't
dude?
even want to keep those little tiny ones.
Exactly.
Almost big enough to start keeping them.
Yeah. And then eventually it had nothing important. Just throw it to everybody. And you can tell, like, there's some heart in that one where he doesn't take all the owl's eggs.
Well, and
I love that vignette.
You get the idea that he's been doing this his whole damn life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like most old prospectors, he's never had a big score.
Yeah.
And that's why this one is so important.
He's not. He will not let that go.
No,
He doesn't give a
but why
fuck.
would he? Yeah. Oh, man, I love that one so much.
I would say there's 4 very strong, for me, 4 very strong stories. The coach one at the end probably would be my 5th. Mm-hmm. And then, the robber one, just because it's so short and doesn't give us very much as far as character and everything, has got to be last. I mean, it lasts for what? A good 6-7 minutes, maybe? That's it.
Super short.
And, but the Tim Blake Nelson's probably my number 1. I also think of that Liam Neeson one very highly. I love the Zoe Kazan one. Mm-hmm. That's probably the biggest, the longest one that's in there.
There's a lot of layers to that
That's
one.
so great because you're like, the entire time it's like, here's the thing that will probably kill her. Oh, wait, no, here's another thing that will probably kill her. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, there's now 7 things that will probably kill her. Just the way it plays out, I think they're just messing with expectations, that entire story.
Yeah.
It's just that they take a left where anyone else telling that story would have taken a right.
Yeah, because they start off at like the dinner table.
Yeah.
And then like they somehow end up like in this field, against a bunch of like charging Native Americans and stuff like that. And like how you get from there to there is just this serpentine, crazy love story / gruesome action scene.
What's the name of the dog?
This.
President
Pierce. I got to watch this movie.
What's
I'm going to watch it
is
again.
that we think only modern Americans are dumb enough to name a dog after a president, but no, they probably were doing that shit. There was probably a Pierce fan.
Put the president in there, in the name, too.
Yeah.
It's not just Pierce.
Yeah. But that's the one that I thought was probably the best acted out of all of them. And I mean, it was just one of those where I really got involved with the characters in that one, and it gave you a lot of time to do that and everything. And even the guy who doesn't say anything until towards the end, he's just great. And I'm sure some of these actors that I saw were covered in beard hair and stuff, and I don't even know who they are. But I probably seen them before.
Had you seen Zoe Kazan in a lot of stuff?
Yes.
I guess Big Sick was the only
She's
thing.
in the Big
really.
Sick. She was in Revolutionary Road.
Okay.
She's in a couple other things that I've seen. But the first time I ever remember seeing her was Revolutionary Road. Was she DiCaprio's like a first wife or girlfriend or something in Revolutionary?
Saw this last year, but I don't remember.
She's
Oh,
in that, so
I'll be watching it again soon for no reason.
she's really good in Big Sick. I didn't even realize that was her from Big Sick.
yeah, she was also in. She's also in for very briefly. She's in
The Deuce.
The Deuce. Yeah, she's James Franco's wife in that.
Oh,
Interesting.
Like wife for as long as she's in the show.
Well, I think this is a recommend from all of us. For Jeremy, it would be a big recommend, I assume.
Yeah, it would be a pretty big recommend on my part too.
I think it's a big recommend. You should totally watch it. Netflix, man, you've got me. You've got your hooks in me. I'm going to watch Roma at least once, probably 15 times in the next couple of weeks.
But anyway, yeah. So
That's
that's
a good
all.
one.
That's all of our recommend.
That's right.
Now you guys have some other stuff. I do not have any other stuff. Actually, I do, but I cannot. I do not want to talk about it here.
Okay. You want to do a recommend?
So I was looking at pictures of Zoe Kazan. I have a record warn. You don't even have to cut that. I'm willing to leave that in there. I have a record warn and a warn. I want to talk about both, but I won't spend a ton of time on the record warn. This is a movie from the 80s called The Star Chamber. I'd never heard of it. It's got Michael Douglas in it, and he's a judge. And he's a judge who gets fed up watching criminals he knows are guilty go free on a technicality. Mm-hmm. And he gets recruited into and joins this like underground court of Illuminati judges and cops and rich people. And they each get a turn every week to bring a criminal that has gotten off before the board. And they throw out the file and they list the crimes. And then they very like James Bond hush-hushy around the table. They go, guilty, guilty, guilty. And then they have this assassin on staff, apparently.
Sure.
They don't ever meet with him in person. It's done through a middleman. And they send the assassin after this guy. He kills the evil person and righteousness prevails, right? And so I walk into the front room where my wife is reading and I'm telling her about this movie. And I was like, they want to remake Lion King. Remake this fucking shit right here. You get me Tom Hardy as a judge who's tired of it and goes out into the night and starts killing people on his own.
I like it. What's it called again?
Called The Star Chamber.
Star Chamber.
But I also, it's predictable as fuck because I said to my wife, now I'm going to go back and watch the rest. But before I do, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. He's going to bring that criminal I saw in the beginning of the movie that got off in his courtroom to this bully court at night and present that criminal. Then he's going to have that guy killed and find out after the fact the guy was innocent all along, and then probably the assassin's are going to come after Michael Douglas. That is literally exactly what happens the rest of that movie. So it's a record warn in the sense that I had a really good time watching it. It's a solid concept that was a hook enough to keep me watching. And Michael Douglas is always good.
Like how 80s, like mid 80s, late 80s, or what do you think?
Mid to late 80s.
Came out in 1983,
Okay,
and
early 80s.
Remember a couple weeks ago when Jeremy said he was going to go watch 2010 instead of 2001, which is directed by Peter Hyams, who did Time Cop.
Yep.
And
He
this movie.
did this movie as well. So
Wow.
you're a certified Peter Hyams fan.
I am. I definitely.
You're right. That's a good. That's ripe for remaking. I could totally.
Yeah.
get into
No.
it.
I mean, I just feel like there are cool concepts that would be a nice remake, but the remake train is all about name recognition now. It's all about, well, you remember the title of this movie. So that's what we're not going to remake an obscure movie nobody even remembers from 1983 because there's no pull.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I agree. Those are the ones that should be remade, is those ones that nobody remembers at all.
I mean, you think of this day and age where we actually have vigilantes out there and militia groups and whatnot, and you think about taking the law into your own hands. I think it's a ripe idea.
Yeah. We also don't want to encourage.
Well, no, I'm not
Just
saying
kidding.
yes.
Yeah.
In a movie,
It's a movie.
not in reality.
Yes, of course.
Do you have another Rec-A-Warn or a warn?
I have more of a recommend than a Rec-A-Warn. I originally put this as a Rec-A-Warn, but I think I really like this movie. It's a movie. It's on the Mubi platform that I know we talk about a lot. This is not an advertisement for it, but it was found on there. It's a Dutch movie called Borgman. And Chris saw this, right?
I did.
Okay. So this movie is fucked up,
Yeah,
but fucked up in a good way.
yeah.
It is a psychological thriller bordering on horror without really any nastiness or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I'm actually trying to think. Is there any? There are horrific images, but not. I don't think any gory images.
No, I don't think there's any blood. Very, very little blood, if any.
Yeah, yeah.
It is about a group of people led by this one guy that is rustled out of their environment. They're almost gypsies, and the one of the main guys comes to this upper middle class house with a family of 5 or something like that, married couple and 3 kids, and knocks on the door and says it's dirty and ratty. And he's like, "Can I take a bath? Can you help me out? I've just been kicked out of my residence." And so the husband initially says, "We can't do this. I'm about to leave for business or whatever." And the guy is super persistent to where he says he knows his wife. And he knows her name, and she was his nurse when he was sick in the hospital and that kind of thing. And the guy eventually, the husband, ends up beating this guy up and thinks that's the end of it. But the wife, takes pity on him and puts him up without her husband's knowledge in their potting shed. From that point on, I don't even want to say much more because it goes in directions that you would both predict and then not predict. If you had plotted a path for this movie, I think maybe 0.1% of you would come up with the plot of this movie.
You definitely probably wouldn't come up with this one. I guess the main thing you'll be doing throughout this is, what are they up to? What is him and his cohorts? What are they up to? What is the end game in this? You may not get any answers.
Yeah, and you can come up with some fun ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's purposely, I think, left ambiguous. The reality of the situation is left very unambiguous. You know exactly what happens and what happens at the end and what happens with the people that make it to the end. But the reasons why.
Yeah, you don't know the purpose.
Or what the characters on either side are doing next.
There's a point. Yeah, there's a point where you think you know exactly why they're doing these things, and you don't know how they're doing it because there's some things in there like, what in the fuck? How'd they get that to happen? They get some of this stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be, that's, these guys are going to take advantage of all these, people here and everything. And then times that they could take advantage of them, they don't.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're interested in
fuck?
something different than what you would think they were interested in.
Yeah.
This is something I don't even know if Americans would reboot this.
I don't know. Well, if it got rebooted here, they would definitely give a plan of action that would, that we would know what this was about.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's something that would be a really good thriller / horror movie, as a remake even, in English, but Yeah, I don't think they would take the chances that they do in the Dutch version, and it's totally worth watching. I think you would enjoy it. This is just freaky enough, not bloody at all, not that kind of horror movie. It's more of a thriller, like mindfuck type of thing. Very, very good.
I'll tell you what I don't like in a horror movie.
Yep.
And this sounds like I'm going to attack, but I'm not. So I was watching Drag Me to Hell yesterday because you guys had raved about it recently. And when the old lady with no teeth gums her chin and pukes green liquid on her face, that's what I don't like in a horror movie.
I don't like that either. I don't like that.
I mean, I know why it shows up every now and then, but that's what I'm like. I actually literally changed the channel after that. I was like, I'm going to dream about that shit now.
Yeah, that's what
man, I was so giddy watching this movie. I'm going to warn this movie. I was so giddy because I thought I had another law-abiding citizen situation on my hands. And this movie is batshit insane, but ultimately just not enjoyable the way law-abiding citizens batshittery is. This movie is called The Next 3 Days. So we had Thanksgiving with my family, and we were all staying in the same hotel. And one afternoon, we were just taking a break because that's what you do when you're with your family. And so my wife and I were in our hotel room, and I was watching this movie. And I went, She said, "What's that noise?" And I was like, "That's the noise of a guy who knows movies, who's watching a movie with Russell Crowe and Elizabeth Banks in it, and I can't tell what I'm watching. I should know what this is." And so I kept watching. And it starts out with them at dinner and one of his coworkers. And you get the sense Elizabeth Banks is a little jealous of her. And then it cuts to them at their house, and the cops show in, bust down the door, and arrest Elizabeth Banks for murdering that woman.
Oh.
And you're like, what? What's going on? It's moving very, very fast at this point. And then Russell Crowe goes and has a meeting with Liam Neeson, who I did not expect to be in this movie and who I believe never shows up again, to learn about breaking out of prisons, because Liam Neeson is basically Sam Jackson from The End of Out of Sight. He's broken out of a bunch of prisons. And so Liam Neeson gives him advice. You're going to need a lot of money. You're going to need passports. You're going to need
so Liam
Neeson. And so he's going to need lots of money, right? He's got some, but then the cops seized it because his wife's a murder suspect. By the way, they have a little boy who they try and use for heartstrings here and there, but mostly this movie does not know what the fuck it's trying to do. So then he finds out they're going to transfer her to a different prison after he's done all this planning to break her out of this prison. But he needs extra money to get the plan done in a hurry. And he goes to rob a bank, and at the last minute decides he can't do it. And you're like, oh, moral conscience. Instead of that, he goes to a drug dealer, follows the drug dealer to the stash house, and murders him and steals his cash. And then he kills the drug dealer's friend for trying to stop him.
This is not good.
No. So then he learns via YouTube how to break into cars with a tennis ball.
With a tennis ball?
Don't ask me. He heats it up and jams it on the lock. That apparently does the trick. I'm too afraid to try this on my own vehicle. And he finds out the schedule of the delivery truck that brings back test results for patients with diabetes. His wife has diabetes, of course. The most convenient diabetes in the history of all film.
Yes.
So while that guy's inside of one building, he breaks in and plants a report that suggests his wife's levels are off the charts and she's about to die, so that the prison nurse will get the report, panic, and send her to a hospital. The face you're making right now is the face I was making watching the entire film. So they send her to the hospital, and that's when Russell Crowe makes his move. Barges into the room. His wife is like, "What are you doing? This is insane. Now we're both going to be in prison." She doesn't buy it, right? You're thinking moral conscience, right? No. 5 minutes later, she's convinced and she goes along with it. And now they're on the run from the cops. There's a sudden detective who shows up 2/3 of the way through the movie and then is persistently tracking them the rest of the way. This fucker's not been here the whole goddamn time. And the whole time I think they're going to catch him, right?
Yeah.
No. They get away. Movie wants them to get away happily ever after.
I'll tell you what else is bewildering about this movie. It got a wide release. It was in 2010, which means I was working in movie theaters, and it probably came to the theater that I was working at. I don't remember a goddamn thing about this. Paul Haggis wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was this pre-Scientology rift or post?
No, this would be
2010.
post.
Yeah.
Post. I think Paul Haggis got out of it in early
2008?
2000s.
Yeah, something like that.
But
Paul Haggis.
But yeah, you have Russell Crowe, Liam Neeson, Elizabeth Banks, Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, Olivia Wilde suddenly shows up. She's literally just there so he has somebody to drop his kid off at when he goes to do crime shit.
And it's Olivia Wilde.
And it's Olivia. They cast Olivia Wilde in that role.
The movie made $21 million, which is obviously not a lot of money, but it seems like a movie that I would remember. And I don't, and I didn't see it.
Wow.
Whatever. And that's crazy. Thinking about a movie like this that somehow just went completely off my radar.
Yeah, and mine too. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this day and age that we live in, where we definitely need to stop shaming people. You haven't seen such and such. Too much fucking content out there to even remember it all, let alone see it all. I would not waste your time here unless you want the what the fuck experience. But unlike Law-Abiding Citizen, I don't think you're going to be giggling throughout this.
The next three. Plus, it's got one of those like boring ass titles.
It sure does.
That is completely.
That and Body of Lies could have switched titles, and both movies could have played exactly the same way.
Does it happen over 3 days? Do you think?
Well, the next 3 days or Body of Lies?
Next 3 days.
No, the title is that he finds out they're going to move her 3 days from now. So he's only got the next 3 days to act on his plan. But the movie actually shows you a great deal more than 3 days.
Tennis ball, huh?
Tennis ball.
All right.
Yeah.
Try that on the neighbors.
The music swelled, made it seem like it was like a real thing. Like you heat the tennis ball, and then you put it over the lock, and you hit it with your hand, and the door opens.
Yeah.
Paul Haggis, man. What the fuck?
I don't know, man. There was a period of time where Paul Haggis could do no wrong.
I know, man.
Then he made this movie.
Yeah, I think In the Valley of Ella is the start of the end of Paul Haggis.
Oh man, that was a rough watch.
Was that a terrible watch?
It wasn't terrible.
No, it's not bad.
It's just that it was just towards. You could see that there was like, all right, he's getting to the point of being way too important or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to call this In the Valley of Ella. Fuck you.
It's the exact opposite of the next 3 days.
Yeah.
It's Ella, by the way, not Ela.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got one more warn.
Okay.
Or I got a warn. Okay, so I remember seeing trailers for this Destination Wedding. You remember Destination Wedding?
Is this the Keanu one?
Keanu and Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah. Okay, so it's on Amazon Prime. So it was like 87 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Couple of likable folks.
You don't understand how much that will suck me in sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Movie 75 minutes. I'm watching it.
And I was like, I watched the trailer a few times. I don't even know where I saw the trailer, but I don't think this got a super wide release either. Because it came and went. This was 2018, so I guess it was earlier this year. It was in August of this year in Germany.
Wow.
So I guess maybe it went straight to Amazon Prime. So Keanu and Winona Ryder doing like a before sunrise, before sunset, before noon, before brunch,
Yikes.
whatever it is, type of thing. I think that's a terrible idea. Who's that?
Someone who's in Destination Wedding just ran across.
Oh,
the
she's
page.
she's the bride. Yeah, It's funny. I'll tell you why I didn't recognize her. So this is every word of dialogue is spoken by Keanu or Winona.
Mm-hmm.
It's just them. They are put in different situations where like they'll interact with the bride and the groom. They're going to a wedding and they meet at the airport. They don't know each other and they get into an argument at the airport. Then they get on the plane, very small commuter plane, and they're seated right next to each other. They find out that they're going to the same place, a destination wedding. The groom is her former fiance and Keanu is the groom's estranged brother.
Why would you invite your former fiance to a destination goddamn wedding?
Okay, so this is one of the things that they have, one of the topics of discussions in their witty repartee. Here's the movie. You guys saw Barry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The TV show?
Yeah.
You remember like when they get on stage and they do those 2-man acting exercises?
Yes.
Where like one person's talking and the other person, you're taught to listen and react to that person talking, and then boom, your line. And then that other person is reacting and listening and doing all these facial expressions and stuff like that. And then boom, line, boom, line, boom, line. That's what this whole fucking movie is. It's literally Keanu saying like these words of dialogue that are much too verbose for his character, that are just spat out with no feeling, with nothing behind them. but just read off of a page. And Winona, you remember the what was the award show where they won for Stranger Things, and somebody was talking, and she was making these bizarre facial expressions.
Might
you
have been
remember
the
this?
Golden Globes,
where
I've seen the
she's like
the gif with pizza floating around.
Yeah, that kind of. This is her facial expression when Keanu is talking. Is like puzzled, quizzical, and then line, then back, and then mirth, quizzical, puzzled, line. That's what it is. So I was about to give up. Even at 87 minutes, I was about to pull the ripcord on this. But there's in the middle of this fucking movie, there's a sex scene in the wilds of wine country after they've been chased by a mountain lion. That's the unsexiest sex scene ever because everything is so fucking stilted in this movie. They're literally sitting there with a glass of wine, or they're standing there with a glass of wine, or they're next to each other in an airplane seat. But in this one, they're fucking, and then they're doing this dialogue as they're fucking. And for whatever reason,
is she acting puzzled and shit?
She's acting puzzled, quizzical, mirth, orgasm, then back to puzzled. Yes. But at least it gives them something to do, and it makes it fine.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to see this movie, but there is one funny part. So one of the character traits, Keanu is playing this guy that's like a businessman with no heart. He can't understand people and everything. And so his character trait is that he stands alone in his room, letting like cable news pundits that are talking over each other like wash over him. And he's just listening to it, and and you can tell he's a psychopath, basically, where he's got it on CNN or Fox News or something like that, maybe all of the above, and it's these people talking about politics over and over. And normally, like, he just sits straight ahead and he stares straight ahead, and that's it. And then there's one point in the hotel when they get to the wedding where he's cleaning out his ears and everything, and he's watching and he's listening, and he goes, "Wrong!" And that's it. So there's just tiny things in here.
It's amazing. Keanu Reeves, in the past, I don't know, 5 years, has had a big comeback with John Wick and John Wick 2. And aside from that, he's had stuff like this and Knock Knock.
Yeah.
You know, where he's just like, I'll just be able to act however I want to. Doesn't matter. You know.
Oh man.
Just fuck it, guys.
This movie is I can't describe how awful it is while not being terribly awful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, don't watch it, but it is there's some funniness in there.
Yeah.
You want to do some questions?
Do some Q&A?
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth. I am listening.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear everybody's opinion on this. Better trilogy. Quote trilogy. Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout, or Bourne Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum?
All right.
I love this question.
I do too. I'm going to go Mission Impossible on this one. Now, first off, Mission Impossible has 6 movies.
Yes.
And the Bourne series has 4. Well, 5.
Yeah.
But
Jeremy Renner's in both of them.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yes, he is. So the worst of all of them is Mission Impossible 2. Like, if you're to get all the movies in there, Mission Impossible 2 is the weakest that Mission Impossible gets. And then Mission Impossible 3 right after that. The Bourne Mission Impossible 3, is the one.
No, it's got to be. I like it better than you, but it's still.
Everything else is better than that movie.
Yes.
So then the Bourne movies, the first 3 are all pretty excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimatum is kind of a retread, though, of Supremacy. You really don't need Ultimatum because Supremacy is pretty much does all the work. The Bourne Legacy is okay, and that last Bourne movie isn't very good.
No.
So Mission Impossible has the most exciting set pieces, the most things that you talk about later. Bourne is in general very well made, and you know your action scenes are really tense and really well shot and everything. There's nothing compared to that stunt work that's in all the Mission Impossible movies, all the different set pieces, all that. It blows Bourne away, I think.
You know, Bourne's got the better story, though, right? Because the stories in the Mission Impossible movies are way secondary.
They're
everybody's getting disavowed,
and they're getting more absurd.
They're always getting disavowed. There's some sort of agent coming after them.
If you really want to get how ridiculous Mission Impossible is getting, it's like how more disavowed can you be at this point? And how do you keep finding more and more like depots full of weapons and computers and shit
everywhere,
that you can just find all the information that you need at a moment's
and he's
notice.
been on the outs with the government since the first movie.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind if the next one they were just like, the CIA is cool with you. We're not.
It's been
like
22
all
years.
the villains in this movie are outside the CIA. I think it's a no-brainer that Mission Impossible, if we're just narrowing it down to these three movies versus these three movies, Mission Impossible wins that every day of the week. And I have got to be one of the strongest Bourne supporters that exists.
Yeah.
And what you said was so right, and I hate how right it is, that Ultimatum is ultimately unnecessary.
Yep.
Because it is a better movie than Supremacy in terms of action beats. That Waterloo Station in the beginning of Ultimatum is the best thing in any of the Bourne movies by far. The problem is those three Mission Impossible movies each have at least one set piece every bit as thrilling as that Waterloo Station in Ultimatum. And they just keep coming at you. And they all have a distinct personality. On the one end of the spectrum, Ghost Protocol clearly got Brad Bird's stamp of fun and whimsy. And then the latest Mission Impossible, Fallout, was it Fallout?
Yep.
Is just, it's like balls on film.
Do you have this yet?
It came out today.
Today.
It's like he's got his foot mashed on the accelerator.
And then Rogue Nation is almost the perfect split between those two on either side of it in terms of it still has that dash of whimsy and fun, but it's also showing you some balls that it didn't show you before. And Paramount has got to be like throwing everything at them to keep making these,
sure,
right? Because I mean, I know Paramount's got a couple of things going for them, but other than the Transformers, not a lot, right?
No, that's been their problem the past decade.
And so not only are these movies making bank, they're badass, they're awesome, and everyone in the industry respects the hell out of Fallout. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if McQuarrie ends up with a nomination, just as a tribute. We all know you worked harder than anyone else this year. But
a directing nomination?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the way it should go because I think it's a weird thing to say. I think it's a better director performance than it is a movie, right? Like it's a better technical feat than it is a complete movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to watch that movie for the Alec Baldwin scenes or for the repartee between Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise and everything. I'm going to watch that for the fucking helicopter
or the
scene.
Sudden West Bentley.
Or the Sudden West Bentley.
Yep.
I'm going to watch that for the helicopter scene, the motorcycle scene, the dive, the god damn, how many of these? There's so much in that. I want to see that movie right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue Nation is interesting because Rogue Nation, I think, is the most forgettable one for me. Now, you've got, obviously, the plane scene, and you've got the opera house scene.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I'm sure there's a ton that I'm forgetting, but like it didn't hit me the way the Ghost Protocol that I've seen many times and Fallout, who I've only seen once, have hit me and like
what
really
were the scenes
lodged
that you
in the
picked
vein.
on Rogue Nation there?
In Rogue Nation, it was the plane scene with him on the side of it, and then the opera house.
And
scene.
there's also the big underwater thing.
Oh, that's right.
Hold your breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't argue with that.
But yeah, there. I mean, if there's anything about those movies, is that it's easy to sort of confuse those three that just came out, the three latest ones. Like you could come up with scenes that were in one or the other. They're kind of interchangeable because there's really not much. There's really not much that sets that in any particular plot that they put it in.
Sure, yeah, but again, like you said, you could also do that with Supremacy and Ultimatum too. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Mission Impossible, that series of three, is better than we all love the Bourne original trilogy, but I think Mission Impossible.
Yeah, the question as presented, I think Mission Impossible wins it.
A major criticism of the new Harry Potter universe film, which is Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald. Is it Grindelwald? with an L?
I never.
I
know.
will never get it. It's Grindelwald.
Yeah,
I
it's
bet you
Grendel.
it's Grindelwald.
I actually
It's
don't
Grendel.
care.
It's like, what is a grundle? Isn't a grundle like...
You're cradling the balls right now with your hand. That's what you're doing.
It
Grendel.
is Grindelwald, but
You were thinking Grendel and
but then
Beowulf.
So the criticism of the Fantastic Beasts 2 film is how it's mostly set up for the next one. That's interesting. We haven't seen it yet. I've heard similar comments made about The Empire Strikes Back and even the MCU, especially the last movie. In your opinion, when does that kind of storytelling work? When does it not work?
Empire Strikes Back is an interesting bring up here.
Yeah.
Does it do nothing but set up Return of the Jedi?
It certainly does not only do that.
Yeah. Now, does it stand on its own? Would you know what's going on without the first one? And
I don't think so.
would you? I don't know. Like it's one of those movies, right? It does have some sort of your enjoyment of that movie may depend on you having seen Star Wars. I don't know of a middle chapter other than maybe The Dark Knight that has so much other stuff going on for it though. Like the thing about Empire is that it's got so many plot points in it. This is the Empire basically saying this is how we're going to win. And that's why, it's The Empire Strikes Back. It's Boba. We're going to get Boba Fett on Han. We're going to Darth Vader wants to put Luke in the cryogenic freeze or whatever. He wants to put him in the carbonite freeze. And he wants to take him to the Emperor and he wants him to be on their side. He wants them to go to the dark side and all that. So he wants to get Luke on the dark side. He wants to get Han out of the way and he wants to get all the rebels. He figures the rebels will be, demoralized by all of this. And then he's making deals behind the scenes too with some of their allies or their would-be allies. And I don't know how much, it does set up Return of the Jedi, but the thing about Empire Strikes Back is that there's so many unbelievable revelations in that movie. And it's so entertaining on its own that I don't know if it's just a mere setup. And that's where I think it works better than your typical setup. The one you brought it up in the email, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 is a movie that is all setup. There's nothing to that at all except the first act of a movie, of a long movie. That's where it fails. Where it works is when you have Empire Strikes Back and you're giving lots of stuff to the audience saying these are some things to chew on. Even though it might be something that will only be able to resolve in Return of the Jedi. So I think if you make something that is a sort of setup to another chapter, you have to give the audience just a lot of things that don't require, that aren't just setup. And that's why Infinity War works for the most part. Infinity War gives you so many things, even though it is a lot of setup to the next one that comes out.
There's a ton of things.
Yeah.
One could argue too many things.
Yeah, for sure. It's a long movie.
Well, and I decided to phrase it this way. Obviously, we're all just sharing opinions here. There's no right or wrong to this, but
Except for yours. Yours is wrong.
If the movie has what I can recognize as a beginning, middle, and end, I don't really mind if it ends in a cliffhanger or is setting up another movie. So this is why Infinity War, I think ultimately I've decided works for me as a movie and not actually. Well, because it does have a beginning, middle, and end. It's just that because we know Thanos' story is not over, it feels maybe like more of a cliffhanger, like Deathly Hallows. But the other one I just thought of while we were sitting here talking, and this is probably sacrilege, is Fellowship of the Ring. I don't think, even under my definition, would qualify because there's no beginning, middle, and end there. It's just they start on a journey, they get a third of the way through it, and credits roll.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of bad shit happen along the way, but there's no, ending. There's no victory, even small. I mean, fucking Gandalf dies. The elves gave him some bread, but no, Boromir turns on right at the very end. They get it. It's like, no, that's
Well,
not.
Boromir dies at the end of the first one, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The same things have been said about Two Towers as well.
And even I agree, but I also think Two Towers somehow stands alone as a movie better than Fellowship does.
Yeah,
definitely has
mostly
much
because of
more
that
of
Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Because we get that at least feels like a temporary ending, a conclusion of some kind. Fellowship gives us none of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it literally is all ramp up.
Although, isn't that how the original Tolkien went? It wasn't that he wrote 3 different books. He wrote like a whole big story and like, wasn't it in some magazine or something like that or whatever? I don't remember if that's how he did or not. I think he wrote the whole thing at once and then they split them up into 3 books. And that's how we got it that way, I think. Could be completely wrong about this, but...
Well, when I read the books, the books were that way, too. I read Fellowship first, and it ends right where the movie ends, and then I was like, well, shit, I better keep reading.
Yeah.
So.
I think in the books, I think the whole Shelob thing happens in Two Towers and all that, and then they include it in Return of the King instead.
I think you're right now that you say that.
Who's Shelob? Is that
the spider?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think that he moved it to Return of the King because maybe there wasn't like a big showpiece to put in there until the very end.
Well,
maybe.
plus Frodo almost dies in the first one anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have that beat again, I guess.
But yeah, I think that's how ultimately these movies have to work, right? They have to have something that you can grab onto that's not just set up for the first. If it plays like Act 1 of a long movie, then that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it seems like it's got a lot going for it, and you're really excited to see what happens next and everything, then it's doing its job.
Well, especially the middle part of, and I think that's what kind of the heart of the question is, like the part 2 of a 3-part series.
Mm-hmm.
So like The Dark Knight you mentioned before, you don't have to see Batman Begins, nor should you see Dark Knight Rises afterwards to adore that movie, right? Because it has a perfect beginning with the heist and everything. Doesn't have anything to do with Batman. You see Batman later on, when you don't have to know that the Wayne Manor burned down or anything like that. You just know this is where he's at right now. Yeah. And the way that it ends ultimately is on a cliffhanger, I guess. But like, I'd be fine not seeing any other Batman after that.
Right. It's a cliffhanger that totally just, it's an ending.
Yeah.
It's an ending that you could accept for the entire series if you wanted to.
Absolutely. And I think you should. The other one, which is kind of a surprising thing, is I loved Hunger Games Catching Fire. I thought that was a very, very good second part. I think I liked it better than the first one because I think that does have a story. Now, it's ludicrous. The whole thing is ludicrous. It's the Tournament of Champions and stuff like that.
Survivor All-Stars.
Yeah, Survivor All-Stars. But that makes sense sort of in the universe to me, more so than just picking somebody, selecting, randomly out of a hat or whatever. So I think the action's good. I think this is Philip Seymour Hoffman is in this one, right?
Yep.
I think everybody's really good in this, and it does end, I think, on a very exciting cliffhanger. To where I know we're toppling the government and all that stuff now, but you've also undercut like one of the most powerful entities in this universe. And the resolution, I think, is ultimately a little bit disappointing. Yeah. But that whole, we've got a chance here is, I think, a really cool cliffhanger.
Right. Now, I don't like that movie at all, but I think it exactly what we're talking about here does what it's supposed to do as far as a second chapter is concerned. Because, like I said, the thing about Hunger Games I don't like is just the fact that the whole thing becomes about toppling the government and everything. I feel like just keep them in the Hunger Games, man. I want to see these people suffer. I want to see them play games. I don't want to, I'm sorry, I'm a sick fuck. I want to see them play the game. I don't think there's anything wrong with the game inside that movie. That's those people don't exist in real life, But yeah, you're exactly right. I think that movie does do the good job of a second chapter where it's not, it's just building up to the third one.
Yeah. And it doesn't, because
and then you get Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah, and then you get the whole reversal of this whole thing to where you get Mockingjay Part 1, which I don't even recall that much. That's almost all set up, isn't it? It's
Yep.
them planning and plotting and
Yep.
doing all this stuff. There's no
almost all part ones are like that.
yeah.
The one that was brought up in the email, did you bring it up? Kill Bill Volume 1?
I did,
You
yeah.
brought it up. Kill Bill. Now, see, that to me was not, that can't be set up. That's not set up.
No, I mean, the reason that I brought that up is that it's interesting that she only gets through Lucy Liu
And Vivica Fox.
and Vivica Fox.
Yeah.
So she's got like 3 or 4 more to go before, or including
It's
Bill.
the shorter movie and everything. And yeah, they ended on a pretty good ending there. It's a cliffhanger.
Totally, I agree.
You do need to see part 2 though.
Yeah.
It's not one of those that ends on its own.
yeah.
Where like, oh well, I'm totally satisfied with that. That ending. Like Bill's still alive.
Bill's out there.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
The
What to
whole
say?
like the whole thing is called Kill Bill. But yeah, like I mean, he obviously was supposed to make that all into one movie, and then they split it into 2 later. But that one I think does a good job too of finding a good spot to stop it. And then it gets the more talky part 2 version comes up, even though there's more deaths in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think
more main deaths. The first one's gonna top the record for.
I think the ultimate answer to this question is Shawshank, because it's
Right.
all set up for Shawshank 2.
It is.
If
It
you-
is.
like there's
Well,
no ending there.
there's
Just
that-
build and stop.
There's that whole thing with them on the beach. What happens with them on the beach afterwards?
Are they gonna run
Do
like
they fall
Rocky
in
and
love?
Creed?
They are definitely going to run. They're going to be like hugging each other.
He's gonna
and-
be in like a little belly shirt, like
Yeah.
jumping up and down.
Oh hell yeah! And there's going to be like a thing where they almost punch each other and it'll stop.
Ding, ding.
I know. But yeah. I think we've answered this question in some way.
yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook, Cinemasins Twitter, Reddit. There's a lot of SoundCloud. There's a lot of places to come find us and comment on this very episode. We also have a Patreon. We talked about that
That's
earlier.
Become a member. Become a part of our family.
You've
It'll
only
be
got
fun.
4 months till Sin Week.
That's right. Sin Week is going to be awesome.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, 5 Sin videos.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a lot of work.
The
Yes, it
idea is 3 extra Sin videos should be worth a few bucks to most people.
Yeah.
If they are fans. And we want to be able to give you a blowout week of 5 Sins.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. So that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Wow.
And so I'm sure there's a lot of connective tissue that needs to be trimmed up between the chapters. And I'm sure there's stuff that I actually initially wrote in chapter 20 because I was writing that on Tuesday, but on Wednesday I was writing chapter 12 and I just casually referenced it again, even though linearly I had not brought it up yet.
And
So
then
I'm sure
there'll
there's
be
stuff
some
like that.
point where it's like, why did you write the entire Gettysburg Address in chapter 14?
I'll tell you what, my wife is an excellent filter. At one point, my main character had a dream, and in that dream there was a talking horse. That's gone. There was a baby murder. That's gone. Because my wife was the voice of reason. You can't kill a baby, Jeremy.
Did someone know what baby tastes like?
No. But when I was writing
baby
it, I
tastes
wanted the dream to have like this horrifying imagery. And I just went way too far. But having somebody read through it, so there'll be some of that in there that the editors will get to that my wife missed. I'm sure.
Kill the baby. It's like in Devil's Advocate where she comes up on the baby playing with her ovaries.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Let's dedicate the entire 2 hours to talking about Devil's Advocate again.
Oh my God. Hey man, I'm telling you.
Hey, it's true that movie is unexpectedly just like, what the fuck did that?
It's so many layers.
Yeah, what the fuck did it come from? He took my uterus, Kevin. I don't even know if that's the line.
Took everything from me. I hope so.
I think that's
terrible.
it, isn't it? He took her uterus.
Yes. Yes.
And she says it so matter-of-factly, but crying, but matter-of-factly.
He took my uterus.
He took my uterus,
The devil's
Kevin.
uterus.
God.
I think she's demonstrated enough times. Because, I mean, her regular accent is pretty fucked up. Like,
South African, right?
yeah, I don't mean fucked up like I just mean I don't mean like fucked up like she should be ashamed. I'm just saying it's strong and unique. South African is a very distinct accent, and even if she's not completely nailing the Southern accent, she's still doing American pretty good. So,
Yeah, she does. Let's see, she did British really well in Atomic Blonde.
yeah.
South African is kind of fucked up because you never know. Because it sounds vaguely Australian, vaguely British, vaguely like Dutch. You know, I can never like
I
Ernie
hate
Els.
the Dutch.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Dutch friend.
There are two kinds of people that I don't like in this world. People who don't have respect for other people's cultures and the Dutch. It's Austin Powers.
Goldmember.
Is it Goldmember?
Yeah, it's the one with Michael.
I thought it was
Caine
The
in
Spy Who Shagged Me, but
yeah. I don't know because Michael Caine's in both of those.
Is he?
Yeah, because Goldmember's like, "Hello, Austin Powers and Faja."
yeah, it would be Goldmember then
I think it is.
because he wouldn't have said that Dutch thing if it wasn't for Goldmember.
Oh, because he's a Dutch.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Faja.
I'm glad we talked ourselves into that.
Yes.
Boy, what a waste of Michael Caine.
Oh,
Wasted-
well, there's
more than one Michael
he's in
wasted
like,
in that movie.
Yeah, he's in like 200 movies. There's a lot of movies that can say that.
That's true.
How many credits do you think he's got?
I'm going.
Honestly, no. Go ahead. You can say a number.
My guess is it's 130.
I was gonna say he's probably a lot more like.
Samuel L. Jackson?
Well, sure. I was gonna go with the other guy, but
Gary Oldman?
Suicide Kings.
Christopher Walken?
He's more like Christopher Walken than you realize, in the sense that he probably says yes a whole hell of a lot more than he says no. He's in a lot of shit movies, just popping up.
His number is 170. So
Nice.
So
All right.
I bracketed it there. I said 200, then I
Right.
went down to 130. He's in 170. 170 credits. That could be a lot of things, but
He's in his 80s,
most
too,
of
right?
that's going to be movies. I think he is. He is. Yes, he's 85.
And he's been at it for a long time.
Yes.
Since at least last year.
Let's see what his first credit is.
What's the shittiest movie that Michael Caine has ever been in? That you've
gosh,
seen?
that's
Powers
impossible.
Goldmember?
Yeah, besides the Austin Powers movies.
Well, pull up his MD.
He was in a movie called Hell in Korea in 1956. That means he was 23. That was his first.
He's in that
And
piece
then
of shit, The Prestige.
Right from the beginning, he was in a ton of stuff. He was in like 4 things in 1956 alone.
Wow.
All I'm saying is
Yeah,
that
he
I
was
don't think he's in terrible
Was he
shit.
in it? Was it Jaws 3 or Jaws 4? It was Jaws 4,
He
right?
was in one of the Jaws.
Yeah.
Like the awful Jaws.
That's one of the ones that's one of his worst for sure.
It was Italian. Like he wasn't in a whole lot of terrible things. Let's see. He was in all those Woody Allen movies. Jaws: The Revenge is the one that he was in.
Yeah, that was
Without a Clue.
That was Jaws
delightful.
4, right? Jaws 4
Yeah.
was the
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
2.9 on the IMDb. Jaws: The Revenge.
What was Noises Off? I remember that movie. Noises Off. Bogdanovich. That's right.
Is John Ritter in that?
Yes.
He was on Deadly Ground.
Okay,
Oh, that's right.
we're talking about Michael Keaton, right?
Yes. We somehow jumped.
We're talking about Michael Caine.
You know what? Let's also include the cider house rules in this too.
Okay, so Michael Caine was in Sherlock Gnomes.
Yep. You know what? Here's another bad one. Quills.
Oh, hold on. Is that the one with
Now
Jeffrey
You
Rush?
See Me.
That yes, the
Now
Marquis
You
de
See Me
Sade.
Too. Sorry.
The Quills movie was about Marquis de Sade.
You hated that?
Yeah,
Jeffrey
it
Rush?
was terrible.
I didn't hate it.
Oh.
We've got both the Now You See Me movies.
Yes.
We've got Going in Style, which I've seen and is terrible.
That's
The
one of
Last
them-
Witch Hunter. That's a Vin Diesel joint.
Oh.
You forgot all about that. See, you just skipped all of them when you went down in the middle of his career.
I guess so.
A lot of the crap has
Quills
been
has a
recently.
7.3. What did I watch?
You may be like caught up on the shit smearing scene.
Cars 2. I'm not done ragging on Michael Caine, by the way. You guys can keep having that conversation. I'll just stand over here shouting. Journey to the Mysterious
I
Island.
don't think it was just the shit smearing.
I mean, it's not a great movie.
Romeo and
But
Juliet.
it's 7.3. There's a
Is
lot
Kate
of people.
Winslet in that too?
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Children of Men.
What
There's
did
a piece of shit.
What did I hate so much about? I saw it when it came out.
He's in
Yeah.
Bewitched. Bewitched is not
Oh,
very
Bewitched
good.
is a good one. Miss Congeniality is another one.
Yeah.
There you go. Austin Powers,
Dunkirk.
Goldmember.
Dunkirk.
Get Carter, piece of shit.
Did you ever see that?
Yes.
You're talking about the Stallone remake.
Yes, the original with Michael Caine also, but Michael Caine...
Oh, you didn't
Isn't
like
he
the
in-
original either?
No, I haven't seen that one.
The original is good.
I meant he's in both.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's just maybe what it is the older somebody gets, the less filter they have. De Niro's been doing this a lot.
I don't think it's as egregious as Michael Caine is doing it as egregiously as De Niro, though.
Some actors have. I don't know about De Niro. Some actors have that idea that I've constantly got to be working. Like I can't turn stuff down just because my artistic integrity, quote unquote, can't bear it. And I see that a lot in some of these actors. Like you can see this like in Donald Gleason, who's in everything. And of course his father is in everything. And like
Gary Oldman is like this too recently. I saw him in The Hitman's Bodyguard. Have you seen that?
no, I haven't seen that.
He's
no.
playing Gary Oldman as I think he's a Russian or Belarusian terrorist who knows all the angles and all that bullshit.
But I think there's some actors out there. I think I've actually heard them spout this philosophy that you don't know when you're going to stop working, so you just go ahead and take anything. Because
I might do that if I were an actor. I would probably just say like, you know what? I'm not going to like spend 4 months just sitting around waiting for
That's
the
the
perfect
other
script to
thing
come
is
over.
that we have to remember these are just people, right? So my neighbor, God love him, who mows my lawn, he retired about a year ago, and it's very evident to me that he's completely stir crazy. He mowed my lawn about every 2.5 days all summer long. He stopped wearing shirts, but he would just mill about like he doesn't know what to do with himself because he's got 45 years of going to work and doing this thing. And so for some people, it's as much a part of keeping their mind active, right? As opposed to just going crazy or getting depressed, being lonely.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons that, and I'm making fun, but obviously if Michael Caine walked in here, I would start sucking his dick immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging him.
Just go right ahead.
But I think that's the reason why Clint Eastwood comes out with a movie almost every year.
Yeah.
Woody Allen comes out with a movie almost every year. Sidney Lumet there for a while was doing that. I think it's just a matter of enjoying the work. It has nothing to do with is this movie going to be good or not. I think some actors may have this idea that if I'm in too many turkeys that I won't get hired or whatever, but that's really only a philosophy for Taylor Kitsch. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you're probably one of those health nuts, huh? Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah, go fuck yourself.